Hello, everyone. Welcome. We're really excited to have you all here for today's webinar called Everything CK-12. We're coming to you live from the CK-12 offices in Palo Alto, California, in the heart of Silicon Valley. I'm Lindsay, a member of the CK-12 team.
And I'm Ryan, also a member of the CK-12 team. We're glad that you've taken time out of your busy schedules to learn more about CK-12. Before we get going with today's core content, let's discuss a few logistics with the Zoom webinar platform.
So you guys should be seeing two different options in your Zoom window, one that says Q&A and one that says chat. Throughout today's presentation, whenever you guys have questions for either Ryan or myself, please type it in the Q&A window. We're going to pause after each of the major sections of content and answer any of the questions that you guys have posted. The chat window is a place where we would like you to talk with each other. This is a place for community conversation. You're welcome to introduce yourself. If you're an educator, you can talk about where you teach, what subject you teach. The kicker is in the chat window to make sure that you have changed it from the default all panelists to say all panelists and attendees. So if you want everybody to see it, which we hope you will with this community conversation, make sure to change that to say all panelists and attendees. So while we don't anticipate any technical issues during our broadcast today, if you're having any trouble with your video or your sound, you can also post that in the Q&A or the chat window. So now that we've gone over a few logistics for the webinar, we want to find out a little bit more about you.
So a pop-up will occur in just a moment that will ask you a question. So you can go ahead and you can respond to this question and you can choose as many answers as apply to you. So we'll wait for a moment and let you answer this question. So we'll wait a couple more seconds. Hopefully everyone can choose. All right, get your final answers in. All right, so thank you to the person who decided to respond to the simulations. So maybe we can tap into your knowledge a little bit later, but that's really helpful. I'm guessing the majority of us don't know a lot about CK-12, which is perfect because this webinar, Everything CK-12, is gonna teach you a lot about all the resources that we offer. So with that being said, let's go ahead and introduce you to CK-12.
Yeah, I think a great place to start is probably making sure you guys are all familiar with our mission. So the CK-12 Foundation, founded in 2007, is a leading nonprofit organization dedicated to improving student learning by increasing access to educational materials through the FlexBook platform and concept-based modalities. CK-12 offers free, high-quality, standards-aligned, open content through an integrated set of tools for learning, including digital textbooks, concept-based learning resources, simulations, interactive practice, and much, much more. And like I just said, to make it extra clear, we give it all away for free. Everything is free. Our core content and curriculum is for middle school and high school math and science, with some K-5 math practice and videos and science texts. However, thanks to donated resources and user-created content, you'll also be able to find books for other subjects and levels, especially related to social studies and English. Although everything is offered for free on CK-12, when you use a CK-12 resource, you can trust that it's the highest quality. CK-12 is used across the world by students, teachers, and districts because it is the best content, not because it is free. We visit schools all the time, including those who aren't bound by any budget constraints, who use CK-12 because they know what's best for student learning. Our content has been developed by hundreds of people with PhDs, professors, teachers, authors, NASA scientists, and other subject matter and domain experts over these past 10 years. Our content is accessible. We've worked hard to make all of our content available across every platform in both print and digital. And CK-12's global impact is incredible. It's growing all the time with over 15 million active users represented in over 200 countries worldwide. So people often wonder how large our foundation is, and believe it or not, CK-12 is run by a small team of about 35 people in Palo Alto with a few colleagues working outside of California, including in our India office. And we're all here because we deeply believe in what we do, and we're excited to give people all over the world access to free quality content and resources. So with that, let me turn it back over to Ryan, and we're going to get you started with exploring what CK-12 has for you.
Thanks, Lindsay. So we're going to go ahead and jump into today's core content. So after a brief introduction to CK-12 concepts, we'll be covering the following topics. First, we'll be looking at FlexBooks, both finding and customizing CK-12's adaptable digital textbooks. Then we'll be looking at interactives using CK-12 simulations and PLIX. Next, we'll go into adaptive practice, including how our system works and how you can assign practice to students. And then last, we'll go into groups and assignments. We'll look at creating assignments and seeing student progress and reports. We'll also briefly touch on integration with learning management systems. For each of these resources and tools, we'll describe the what, why, and where. What is it, why you should use it, and where you can access it. Now, since this is everything CK-12, we're going to move fairly quickly with the goal of giving you ideas of what you can explore in depth on your own. At the same time, don't worry, we'll break after each section so that our team can answer any questions you've been submitting in the Q&A window, noting that we'll focus on questions related to each part as we go.
Yeah, you can also rest assured that we have a comprehensive help desk and support center where you can get quick and easy answers to any questions you might have as you're exploring on your own in the next day or weeks after this webinar. You can access any of this help desk information from the help option on the top menu bar or on the side tab that says support. Either of those will get you some help. So let's now do a quick tour of the site.
When you go to ck12.org, you'll find an educational platform providing standards-aligned STEM resources that can be accessed anytime, anywhere, and on any device, all for free. As you see on the homepage, we offer a number of ways to access our content. You can search for any content using our search bar, both here on the homepage or from the top of any other of the pages on our site in the top right corner. You can also browse content by starting with a major branch. Our links include topics for math and science, and I can expand to see other subjects for English and beyond. Note that if, like me, you've already selected branches, they'll show up as default when you're logged in, but you can always choose to see all subjects as well. Let's say we want to go ahead and take a look at a subject. Let's go ahead and choose physics. Once I click there, you'll actually see two tabs, one for concepts and FlexBook textbooks. Many people know us as a FlexBook company, and you could find those free customizable textbooks on that tab. However, we have moved beyond textbooks to concept-based learning as well. A variety of resources and modalities can be found under the concept tab for any subject. You'll see the major headers, and you can expand accordingly. Let's go ahead and say I'm going to choose to click on circular motion and gravity. And then under that, I'll see sub-concepts, and I can go ahead and I'm going to choose Newton's universal law of gravity. And we'll end up at a matching concept page. Here you can see our featured resources, which include text, videos, simulations, practice, and PLIX interactives. Below you'll find any other content for that topic as well as published content created or customized by other users on CK-12. And that's what this community contributed tab is going to show me. So now that we've seen what this concept page looks like, we're going to go ahead and go back to the home page. You can always do that by clicking on the CK-12 logo. And we'll go ahead and scroll down and see other options for exploring content. You can jump straight into interactive simulations, PLIX, or adaptive practice, or even the schools tab to see materials published by other school sites. To use any of these resources, all we ask is that you quickly join if you're new or sign in if you're a returning user. You can do this in seconds using Google, Facebook, or even your own email address. This allows us to keep all of your work in one place in our system while you get full access to all that CK-12 offers for free. As you saw, there are a number of different ways to learn any concept on CK-12. We enrich every concept that we have with various modalities to help meet students' needs in the best way possible. These core modalities include texts, simulations, our interactive PLIX, videos, adaptive practice, and even real-world applications.
That's right, Ryan. And this is where our digital FlexBooks come in. Thanks to these, you can all say goodbye to expensive, heavy, outdated, and overpriced textbooks that you rarely use, and say hello to customizable, current, and interactive books available anytime, anywhere, and on any device.
So what is a FlexBook? Derived from the idea of a flexible textbook, they are designed to overcome some of the limitations of traditional textbooks, as well as to reduce the cost of textbooks for the K-12 market because they are all easily accessible, customizable, and free to use. Why should I use it? Anyone, whether a teacher, student, or parent, can simply use the book as it is, or if compelled, can delete chapters, reorder the lessons, edit the text, or embed links, practice, and videos. This customization has led to over 150,000 variations of our books on our site. Where can I get it? You can read the entire collection of CK-12 FlexBooks on both the web and any personal device. Our FlexBook app even allows you to read offline, truly making our content available anytime and anywhere.
If you're looking for a whole curriculum or textbook for a subject, let's scroll down and pick algebra. You select the related branch and then click on FlexBooks textbooks option at the top. Here you'll see books for related levels of middle school and high school. You'll also see our concept books and our original FlexBooks. The original ones include more traditional lessons which cover multiple skills or concepts, while the books called concept books break down these lessons into smaller bite-sized chunks, which then correlate directly to our practice and other concept-based resources. If you go up to the top, you'll see a few filter options. This one allows you to search by English or Spanish, and then the all levels lets you filter by basic, at grade, and advanced. If you're looking for standards aligned content, you can also use our standards browser to find CCSS, Common Core, or NGSS, Next Generation Science Standards aligned content. This browser will help you pull concepts related to any particular standard, while our standards FlexBook search will pull up CK-12 FlexBooks that include standards for a particular state, subject, or grade. What's so great about our system is that you have the ability to edit content on CK-12 at the level of a whole book, all the way down to the actual text within any section or lesson. So we'll use the CK-12 Physics Intermediate book as an example, and I want to show you how you can quickly customize it to better address your needs. We'll start from the table of contents for this general high school level FlexBook. Let's hit Customize to open the editing window. And here I can change the title of the FlexBook to something easily recognizable, like a physics customization demo that we did for the American Association of Physics Teachers. Next, I can click on a blue arrow by a chapter to reveal the chapter lessons. And it's super easy to reorder lessons. I can just drag and drop. I'm also able to delete any lesson by clicking the X to remove it. And I'll do that again, just to show you. So you can drag and drop to reorder. You can also click the pencil to edit the actual lesson. This is going to open up a new editing window in which I can select content I want to delete. And then I can also add new content or text wherever I would like. I can also add links to other websites. I can incorporate images by entering an image URL or uploading a file from my computer. I can also incorporate other options, such as embedding multimedia links like YouTube videos using the play button. You saw I just clicked on if I'm ever stuck, I can get some help. And then I can save or finalize my draft for others to see my updates. Once I save, my changes appear right away. You can see that this has all been changed here. And then I can find my customized FlexBook in my library back up at the top. And we'll see if it's in there. And there it is, the CK-12 Physics Customization Demo. And I can share it with my students in many ways, such as by simply providing them with the URL link to the customized book. So what I want you to remember is that while you have the option to customize your FlexBook, you're more than welcome to use any of our books on our site, any of our content as is, if you wish to do so.
Also, just a quick note about our usage. So you're able to adapt and share as a result of our Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial 3.0 license. You can find out more about the specifics of this license, including usage and giving appropriate credit on our site through Creative Commons. We have made it easy for you to see how other educators have already customized our books or created their own from scratch by clicking on the schools icon on our homepage or by using the shortcut www.ck12.org/schools. While CK-12 is primarily a STEM company, you can still find content related to other subjects both here and in the Community Contributed tab of any search. This is also a great place to look if you want to find content that may be more closely aligned to your local standards or needs.
So this is what a schools page could look like, and I've pulled it up to Idaho and Coeur d'Alene Public Schools because they're one of our favorite success stories. 2 summers ago, a committee of science teachers across the district customized one of our CK-12 science books to fit their curriculum needs. Then with the money they saved by using CK-12's free FlexBooks instead of buying traditional textbooks, they were able to purchase additional Chromebooks for the district, and then they also bought other classroom resources to help teachers with hands-on labs. Additionally, just some simple customization of the FlexBooks allowed for localization of the books. Teachers introduced lessons about Coeur d'Alene's lakes and water qualities, and so suddenly students were reading a textbook that starts each lesson with how people in their own city are applying what they are learning to explore other places and planets. Pretty cool.
So be sure to check out the schools page because you might find some schools around you who have done some really great work using CK-12. And with that, I think it's a great time just to take a moment and stop to see if there are any questions that you might have about the overview of the FlexBooks that we just did or this idea of concept-based learning. So I'll go ahead and pause to see if there are any questions that you might have.
So don't be afraid to use that Q&A window that I said. We'll take time. Any question, big or small. If you're hesitant because it's a super specific question about your school or district, we will wait at the end of our presentation today. If you want to stay on afterwards and ask, something specific to you that maybe you don't want to ask in this general setting, that's fine as well. But we're waiting for your Q&A. You seen anything on your end, Ryan?
Not at the moment. So maybe this next topic will get everybody really excited and stir some questions. So why don't we go ahead and move on to some of my favorite parts of the CK-12 website, which are our interactives. So we've talked a little about our FlexBooks, and now we're going to take a moment. We're going to transition into looking at our interactive content. Teachers can assign our interactives as warm-ups, subject reviews, or even deeper explorations within class or as homework using our assign option. And students can use the interactives when they're having trouble understanding a concept, or they want to explore and interact with an abstract concept in a more concrete and relevant way. In addition to PLIX, Our PLIX Interactive is a tool we like to call PLIX. So what is it? A PLIX is a modality that allows users to animate ideas and a concept through a simple interaction. Why should I use it? We have over 1,100 PLIX interactives that can be filtered by any subject, keyword, concept, or even by standard. And where do I find it? PLIX can be accessed via the CK-12 website or on any tablet that has a 9-inch screen or larger, or you can always use them on any computer that you might have.
Okay, so when you land on a PLIX browse page, you'll see tabs at the top for our science and our math branches. So let's check out one of our PLIX that are in geometry. This is a geometry PLIX that focuses on features of a triangle. Which you saw on the previous slide, the name PLIX stands for Play, Learn, Interact, Explore. And that's exactly what students can do with this PLIX. You can see in this PLIX the description on the left, which explains the concept and how to explore the interactive on the right. From here, a student can play around with the interactive and see, in this case, how the circumcenter moves based on the vertices of the triangle. Notice that the directions say to drag the red point, helping the users to know how to interact with the PLIX. They can even reset it if they want to start over. If a student needs more context, they can click on Learn More at the bottom, which pulls up a matching read for that concept. The last major part of each PLIX are these Challenge Me questions. When you click on that, you're going to see a variety of question types from multiple choice to true, false, short answer, and categorizing. Remember that this is an exploration, not an assessment tool. So you'll sometimes see hints for questions with more than just true, false. For example, we can keep working our way through this practice. There are usually 5 questions. Here's another true, false. And then this next one is select all that apply. And so students will have the option to select some, and they'll find out here pretty quickly if they're correct. 1 out of 3. So you can show the correct answer there, and they get a better understanding of the concept right away. So the last question in the Challenge Me section is an open discussion question. For ones that match particular discussions already happening, you're going to see a link to go to the PLIX Corner and CK-12's Cafe. And here students can see answers and discuss with their classmates and other users around the world. If you're starting from there, you'll even see a link to go back to the PLIX itself.
In addition to our PLIX, which are for all topics, we also offer simulations, which are another form of interactive that help boost student learning. So what are our interactives? CK-12 Sims enable learners to discover the laws of physics and reciting chemistry that govern a real-world setting in a fun and interactive way. Why would I use them? CK-12 has a large collection, about 121, of real-world physics and chemistry sims that include worksheets, tutorial YouTube videos, and even challenge questions. Where can I get them? In addition to the website, there's a free CK-12 Physics Simulations app available for all tablet devices. The best part of this app is that you can even access our Sims, physics sims, offline using this app.
Okay, so this is what a Sims browse page looks like. There are many ways to get to this page from the CK-12 website, but you can always use ck12.org/sims for the easiest shortcuts for your students and your colleagues. You'll see at the top that we have 2 tabs, one for physics sims and one for our new chemistry sims that are still in beta mode. These sims are appropriate for middle school, high school, and introductory college level. Topical coverage is broad, and there are many sims related to earth science, chemistry, and astronomy. In our collection, we have bobsleds, movers lifting pianos, satellites, bowling alleys, trampolines, and more. These are all real-world settings that are hard to replicate in the classroom. So let's take a look at one of these simulations. This is the prom night sim, and it is a result of the beautiful collaboration between science teachers, animators, and software developers. Like all physics sims, this prom night sim begins with an intriguing question and then advances through a video explaining basic concepts and posing further questions to get students to think about the underlying physics behind a real world scenario, like getting ready for prom. Pretty cool. After we go through this introduction, there's going to be a next phase that we often refer to as the sandbox. So this is the place that is meant for our users to play around and discover new things. In this interactive environment, you can find sliders for certain physical variables and graphs or responsive animations to illustrate the relationship between these variables. Next, there are usually 3 questions that can be answered by adjusting the sliders, so we call them slider-based questions. Each simulation ends with a set of real-world examples that invites the student to think about applications of the underlying concept in different physical situations to promote continued learning.
Thanks, Lindsay. Bringing this all together, I think now is a good time to stop and show a quick 1.5-minute video clip of teacher Chris Pickens using CK-12 FlexBooks, PLIX, and simulations in his science classroom in Coeur d'Alene to differentiate learning for his students.
I got started with CK-12 as our school district went through an adoption. This is our CK-12 rocket simulation that we're going to be working on today. The level of engagement with the Chromebooks and the CK-12 is just amazing. It's changed my career. I think the students can sense that. I'm excited to come into school every day because I'm learning something new every day. I didn't realize that something this simple as a Chromebook and some online textbooks could change the way that I teach that much, but it's been pretty much a door that has opened that I can't close anymore. But I can tell you, this is certainly a lot more exciting way to teach. The level of engagement with the kids is phenomenal. I can have a variety of students doing a variety of different things. I can have advanced students working on things. I can have students on IEPs working on things, all in the same class, where in years past when somebody would ask me to do some of those things, I was like, what? I can't do all that. I can't record all that. Everybody's going to do the same thing. With CK-12, I can have a variety of assignments going at the same time, in the same class. I'm not stressed. The students aren't stressed because they're kind of getting some instruction at their level, and so I just think everybody's much happier to come into class. Students should be leaving school saying, that was fun.
Thanks, Chris. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and take another break and answer a question. We did have a question come in about editing and working with FlexBooks, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and answer this question with a demonstration. But please feel free to add more questions to the Q&A window, and we'll be happy to answer any of those questions for you. So like I said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen. So here you can see a FlexBook that is my FlexBook, something that I've started editing. A way you can tell that it's your FlexBook to work on is that it will have this edit button here. A FlexBook that is like a CK-12 FlexBook or maybe a community contributed book will say customize because it's not yet yours. But this one, I know that it's my version because I can go ahead and click edit. So we had a question about just like basic structuring of moving chapters around, moving sections around. So I just kind of wanted to show how that works. So if I click edit on the table of contents, I'll now see all of the different chapters here. So if I want to just change the order of chapters, it's as easy as just kind of clicking and dragging the whole chapter. But let's say if I actually wanted to change some of the sections. So if I go ahead and I click on this blue arrow, that will actually drop down and show me all of the sections within that particular chapter. So there's quite a lot, so it took a second to load that. But let's say I wanted to move one of these sections from one chapter to another, or let's say you wrote your own section and you want to add it into a new chapter. It's the same idea as dragging and dropping with the chapters, but you want to make sure that you have the chapters expanded by clicking on this arrow button. And then once they're expanded, sorry, this one has quite a bit of content as well. Once they're expanded, I'll actually be able to take and drag. And so you can see I can actually, let's go ahead and move this section into chapter 1. So I'm going to move it into chapter 1. So I wanted this homeostasis section to go from human biology to now I can see it's actually in chapter 1. So that's the way that I can reorganize things. If I want to delete things, I can go ahead and use this X and I can delete either chapters or sections. But that's just kind of a basic look at how you would edit a FlexBook. And then once you're done with all of the edits you want, you should go ahead and click on save. And then it will go ahead and save all of my changes that I made. So I hope that answers that question. And we'll wait for just a second to see if there are any other questions coming in.
Okay, we have a quiet group tonight. You guys are shy. Please keep answering, or please keep asking questions. We're here to help you wherever you are in the process. But perhaps we will, maybe Ryan, should I take the screen back and maybe we'll go on to the next section here?
That sounds good to me. Let's go ahead and do that.
Okay, then we're gonna move on to our adaptive practice. Just a second. Hang on, technical difficulty real quick, Ryan. You fill in here. Hang on, let me try to share my screen. Aha, okay. Sorry about that. Here we are. We are going to be talking adaptive practice. Like we've said, there are so many schools and districts that are using our FlexBooks and who are starting to use our PLIX and our Sims, but we want to encourage you to go beyond exploring concepts and have students practice with them as well. So we're really proud of our adaptive practice. When maybe you guys are in the situation where you have 150 students and you have 5 class periods during the school day, and it's almost impossible to know how each student is mastering an individual concept. And that's where CK-12's adaptive practice system is going to do the heavy lifting for you by adjusting practice questions to meet students where they are in their learning and giving you reports on their progress. So what is it? Well, CK-12's adaptive practice system is a digital tool designed to meet students at their current level of understanding. The system will bump them up to available harder questions if they're successfully answering, or it can even make recommendations such as a text to read or a video to watch, or an interactive to work with. There are over 150,000 questions with a variety of question types. Plus, when students submit their work to you as your teacher, you're able to see info such as the time they spent on the practice, their streak, and the level of questions. It's really easy to access. Students can access it online or via the app, which allows them to practice on their own device, whether they're in school or if they're like in a car or on a bus on a way to a game. It's super convenient for students to practice.
Before I go into any specifics, let me note that there is much to learn about our adaptive practice to the point that we've done entire webinars on just this subject. Today we'll be giving you an overview, but you're welcome to see recorded webinars on our page, ask us any questions today, or even join us for future webinars to go into more depth on this subject. With that, let me show you what it looks like. You can easily access adaptive practice from the CK-12 homepage, but I just included a link in the chat to the adaptive practice overview page, which can be found at www.ck12.org/practice. By clicking View All Practice, I'm taken to a page with all the subjects that we have practice problems for. I'm going to stick with my demonstration subject on physics. Because I am logged in, there is a percentage next to each concept showing the score from previous practice attempts. But let's say I want to try out a concept I haven't done practice for, Newton's second law. Here's the practice dashboard for the concept. You see some recommendations to prepare for the practice, the read, video, and simulation. The estimated time to complete is highlighted as well. But let's go ahead and start practicing, and we'll launch the adaptive assessment. The first question starts at an easy level, and notice that hints are available to help students as needed. If I go ahead and I answer this question correctly, I'll get immediate feedback that gives me a positive message to encourage me. As you can see, the next question gets a little harder, so maybe I open up the scratch pad so I can do some math calculations. Once I'm all done with that, I can go ahead and submit that answer. And again, it will continue to adapt to my responses. But let's maybe see this is a little too hard for me and I get it wrong. I'll actually see a motivational message. And let's say as a student, if I continue to answer incorrectly, I would see a prompt to watch a video or access a resource. Having submitted, you can see it track my progress. Shows me the percentage of my practice, the time I spent, my best streaks. If this were assigned to a teacher, my teacher would also have access to this particular report. And as a student, if I want, I can actually scroll down and I can review all of the questions that I got right or wrong. It will tell me the level of difficulty, and I'll actually have a chance to review my work at this point. Because I'm logged in as a teacher, it also gives me the option to download it as a worksheet or to customize the practice tool. If I go ahead and click Customize, it turns it into a quiz, and I can go ahead and I could change the title to something that I want. I can go ahead and I can edit the questions, so I can add more questions. I can go ahead and rearrange the questions in the practice. I can take out certain questions by unchecking them. Or let's say there's a question that I want to add. I can go ahead and click Add a Question. And then at this point, I have the ability to create a lot of various question types. I can do multiple choice, select all that apply, short answer, drag and drop, highlight. I can randomize my answer choices after I enter my question. I can add a hint or a solution for my students that will show up once they're finished. And then after I'm finished creating my question, I can save it, which will take me back to the list of questions. You can see that my new question will show up at the bottom as a question that is selected. So I hope you go to this page and try it out. Think about the students completing their practice problems on their smartphones, or students who are struggling. They get help by watching a short video or reading a quick passage when they get stuck, instead of just quitting. And then they can always try again. For students who are excelling in your classes, they're constantly being challenged by the adaptive questions. I think this is a great place to pause, and we'll go ahead and we'll answer any questions that came in. So there was a question that came in that was asking about an adaptive practice question that maybe potentially they didn't think that it was able to be found in that particular read. So that's great feedback. You can always go ahead and there's an improve this question, and you can go ahead and click on that, and that will give us some feedback that question could be improved. Also, the adaptive practice system is tied to both our basic and advanced resources. So if you're doing so well, you can actually maybe get bumped into an advanced question. And so that could also be the case where the read might have more basic resources and the student is doing so well that they're actually being challenged with a harder question just to see if they actually can handle that question. There was another question that says, do the scores get emailed to the teacher if we wanted to record the grade as a quiz? That's a great question. So why don't I go ahead and just share my screen for a second, and I'll actually show you how a class looks. So if I go ahead and I go into my groups as a teacher, so I want to set up a group. I can either do it on CK-12, or I can do it by using an LMS, which Lindsay will show in just a second. But if I go ahead and I go into a group, I'll actually see all the members in that particular group. And then I'll also see the ability to look at reports. But in terms of email, it's not going to email me. It's actually going to have an overview of all the reports right here, either in my CK-12 class, or I can actually see it in my LMS that I'm using as well. So here's an example. It's showing me how each of my students did on a particular assignment.
And he just did that very quickly, and I don't want you guys to worry. The next section that we're about to talk about is on groups and assignments. So we're gonna go through this process you know, a little more slowly, talking about how you set up groups, why you would set up groups, making assignments, and things like that. So are there any other questions we should tackle, or should I go ahead and...
I think we've answered all the questions for now, so why don't you go ahead and start on that
Okay,
next
well,
section.
let's expand on what you were just showing everybody.
That sounds good.
We're gonna talk about groups. So let me take back over the screen here. And you guys seeing my screen?
Yes, we do.
Perfect. Okay, so groups and assignments. We've actually made some changes recently to our assignments and reports feature. So maybe if some of you have used CK-12 for a while, there might even be a few exciting little things in this next section that will yeah, get you excited for your classroom. After you've gotten more comfortable with our platform and our concepts is when we start recommending that you use groups and assignments. You may need to just spend a little time navigating and understanding our workflow before you jump to this step. But let's show you what it's all about. So in addition to sharing resources, you can use CK-12's group tool to create a single or multi-concept assignment and review student progress. Teachers can see how students are progressing and tailor their teaching accordingly. And assignments can be created and reports accessed at ck12.org through any class group, kind of like what Ryan was just showing you.
Before you can create assignments, you must first create a group. Like Adaptive Practice, a full exploration of groups is beyond the scope of this particular webinar. But when you log in on CK-12 and click on the Groups option for the first time, there will be an easy walkthrough to help you through it. You'll be prompted to add a group name, describe your group, click on a group type. You want to choose a class group if you're a teacher that's making assignments. Study groups are more for students or colleagues to share resources. And then you can also choose a theme, and then you can go ahead and click Create Your Group. We also make it easy for you to assign content. You'll notice across our site that there is an Assign to Class option that will work with the class groups that you just created. You've already seen this throughout my demonstration today. Additionally, we've just added the option to assign practice directly from an associated section of a FlexBook. Click on the bright orange Select option on the top right, and you can see a preview or even assign that particular practice to one of your class groups. So here's what a class page might look like. On the left navigation bar, you'll see the option for assignments. You can see a list of assignments that we have already created, either using the Assign to Class option on a modality, or by clicking on this Create an Assignment button. When you create assignments from within your class group, in addition to assigning an individual concept, you can combine several concepts and even add a quiz. Then you can pick a due date if you want to, and you're set to go. If the assignment was for practice or a quiz, you'll see any progress students have completed in the report section of your class. If for another modality type, you'll see whether students have successfully accessed that modality or not. So let's take a look at what a report might look like. Now, we've recently made some changes to our reporting system so that even some of you who are seasoned might see some changes. Now you can see your whole class vertically, and the most recent assignments are going to display up top, and then it's going to display both students' first and last names. If you want to see the specifics about any practice or quiz assessment, I would click on the assignment, and then you can click on the percentage. And I would get a full detailed report as shown. This has the information that pops up to a student when they finish their practice, so they're seeing the same thing that we are in our reports. However, they progressed with their practice goal, the number they've gotten correct, we can see the streak of correct answers, and you can even see the time that they've spent. You can see the breakdown of the types of questions that they were assessed, both all easy, medium, and hard. And then if you continue to scroll down the page, you can actually see the actual questions and the answers that the students submitted, just like we did when we were viewing the full practice tool. One last thing I want to mention on this regard is that CK-12 has built various levels of integration for different learning management systems. Information about the LMSs, as well as our apps I mentioned earlier, can be found on the Tools and Apps page, which can be found at the URL shown. Also, if you scroll to the bottom of the page and you can click Tools and Apps. So in terms of how we integrated with these LMSs, well, this happens in a variety of ways. If you're using Edmodo, you can assign CK-12 practice directly from within that system, and you can actually see your own student progress there in Edmodo. If you're using Canvas, Schoology, and excitingly, as of this week, Google Classroom, you can assign practice as well as other modalities, such as reading selections and videos. And you can see students that have accessed them or how they've done on any practice or quizzes. If you're using a different LMS with your district, you can go ahead and reach out to us at support@ck12.org to discuss the future option of helping to build an integration for your particular site. So whether working within CK-12's group feature or an integrated LMS, you have a number of different options to share resources, assign readings and practice, and track student progress. Additionally, we often say we aim for learning anytime, anywhere, so students can complete assigned practice or quizzes on their phones, tablets, or any laptop or computer. Hopefully that gives you a super quick overview of our groups and your ability to assign work and quizzes both within CK-12 or through an LMS. We're going to go ahead and stop there and answer any quick questions. So it looks maybe someone meant to put a question. I'm not seeing it come through. Christy, could you maybe retype your question? And then we'd be happy to answer it for you.
While we're waiting on that, Ryan, should I maybe go through some of the wrap-up information and then we'll stay on and answer any questions? Or did it just pop up?
Yeah, there's a question about the capability for text-to-speech. So I know that people who have used this use things like DragonSpeak, or they're able to use some kind of an add-on, and those all work really well with CK-12's resources. At this time, that is the best way to take advantage of that, is to use some type of a feature that will actually read the text available on the screen for the students. And then we had one more question just about showing students' first and last name. So the great thing is that's actually already live. You don't have to do anything different to see that. So now if you go into your groups, you'll actually see the student's first and last name listed automatically for you, as long as they have first and last names on their particular accounts that have been created. We had one last question about, can the parents log in to see scores? That's a great question. So in terms of if you're using the LMSs, the scores do pass back to those LMSs. So the parents, if they have access to see scores on the LMSs, they would be able to see those same scores. In terms of CK-12, we have the ability for parents to create accounts, and they could actually assign things to their own students if they wanted to, and they could see those scores. But otherwise, the teacher is going to be the one that is going to be seeing the scores if it's happening on the CK-12 website. All right, so thank you for all those excellent questions. Like Lindsay said, I'll hand it over to her, and then I'm happy to stay on as long as you guys want, and we can answer more questions for you at that point.
Great. Yeah, I just wanted to point out a few other things here. A great way to continue this conversation or to network with other CK-12 users and even get support from our staff is to join the CK-12 Cafe. From our homepage, you'll see a cafe button at the top, and that's various forums for both students and teachers. We've got a PLIX corner, one that you saw in today's presentation, but I would recommend that for sure all of you guys join the Jumpstart for Educators Cafe and keep checking back as we add more state-specific forms. Also, as you guys have all been introduced to everything CK-12 now, but we do mix up our webinars. We only have one on the roster right now for the end of the year. Now that our Google Classroom feature is launched, we'll probably be announcing a few additional webinars to talk to our educators about the grade pass back with Google Classroom. But right now, the only one that's up ready for registration is our advanced FlexBook editing webinar. So you can always check ck12.org webinars to register for more. Also, as you guys may have heard, this past summer, we ran the first CK-12 Certified Educator program. We certified over 400 teachers, and our next full program will be coming this July. If you want to get a jump start, you're welcome to take any of our core webinars this year and count that toward the program. This introductory session isn't one that counts towards certification, but some of our other ones, you'll see a special note on the webinar registration page, will count toward that program. In the meantime, if you want to check out any archived webinars or resources from that summer, feel free to see videos of past sessions on ck12.org/certified2017. And then before we end the webinar, we always encourage you to answer a short questionnaire to give us feedback on the content and presentation of today's webinar. We're always looking to improve, so we appreciate you guys, whether it's positive, negative, whatever comments you have. If you could go to this tiny url.com/CK12webinar17. This is where we collect any feedback from our webinar participants that will help us improve going forward. We'll get this in the chat window, and we'll also send it to you in a follow-up email as well. So again, it's really awesome of you guys to join us today. We know it's a busy time of year for everybody, and so to take a time out and learn about CK-12 is amazing. We appreciate it. We're here to support you. There are live people on the other end of the support at ck12.org. We answer our phones, we respond to emails. So as you guys have questions or need support, please reach out to us. And then also, you folks who are on social media, you can find us Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. That's a great place for you to share with your kind of professional network that you attended a webinar today. So for those of you who need to head off, I think you're welcome to go ahead and officially close out of this webinar, but we're going to stay on and continue to field any questions that you have.
Thanks, Lindsay. And like she was talking about, I did paste a bunch of those links in the chat window. So if you could go ahead and do that feedback form for us, that was really helpful for us in improving what we do so we can continue to do things like this for your benefit. And also, again, I put the link for the support in the chat as well. So we're more than happy to answer any of your questions you have at that point. We will stay on for a couple more minutes as long as there are any questions that we can help you with at this point. So remember, if you're having trouble with the chat, you want to make sure that you click to all panelists and attendees. And if you go ahead and you do that, we'll be able to see anything you might want to put in the chat window. If you want to ask questions as well, you can use the Q&A window as well. All right, so it looks like we have a question about transferring ownership of a group. In terms of transferring ownership of a group from one teacher to another, I know you can add additional teachers on a group. In terms of transferring it, I'm not sure. I think the best option would be if you go ahead and use that support at CK-12.org. We can go ahead and see if we can do that. We could potentially help you if you're not able to do that on your end as well. So we'll wait maybe for any more last questions. All right, so with that being said, I think we will officially thank you all for your attendance today, and we will be concluding the webinar. Thank you and have a great day.